Right, video 3, I'm sitting here again with my mentor, Sean. We did standards 4 and 5 in this lesson. We did midterms last week, so this is really our first real class back in about like a week and a half, it feels like. So getting back into it, the kids, I guess, are excited that midterms are over and we're starting a new chapter, sound and space. So Sean, sat in on my class yet again, like all the other videos, and took a bunch of notes and filled out our observation form that we do when we do other observations for other teachers. So what did you see?
Since we spoke the last video, one of the things that I've seen that's actually a very good change is when you start off your class, getting the class to stand up, getting everyone to settle down, going back to taking their seat, getting that classroom norm that we really spoke about last video. I think that it made a really big improvement because you were able to start off with the roll call relatively quiet during that time, and it just starts off the class in the right note. Once you started your lesson, you're really guiding the students a lot with what notes they need to take. This is a really good skill, something that you can keep working at because it's really useful. A lot of our kids are not very good at note taking. They either just write word for word exactly what's on the board or just like write down everything type of thing. Showing them those key points is really good. I like the way that you make use of sound also, and this kind of relates then to your last InTASC Standard 5, where you're making use of music, how the human body makes use of sound, and looking at real world examples. I will talk a little bit more about that, but I think the examples that you used in that task is really, really good, really nice way for them to start understanding and dealing with the concept. And then also when there were questions being asked, you're very patient with the students, which is very nice, trying to relate to them on their level. It's a really good thing to keep doing. It also builds a good rapport with the students as well. A lot of teachers kind of just don't really pay much attention at that point. It's very important that you spend that time going to each one of the students, making sure that they understand what's being taught. Okay, so that's on the good side. Then the little things that we can maybe start looking at a little bit more. When you do the definitions, you've got those keywords over there, and then you've got the Chinese translation, okay, which is awesome. That ties into the first InTASC 4. With that, you also, I recommend that you have the actual definition of the word, not just the Chinese word for it. Because often in your examinations, like you had in the previous, where you'll have linking column A with column B, you have the word and then the definition. That sometimes might be the first time the kids have ever seen that definition.
Right.
So it's really worthwhile not just having that translation, but then actually explaining what that word means.
Something brief.
Yeah, something brief, so that they can start making the connection on how this links to what you're talking about.
Like synonyms and like keywords that define that word.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to go into a little bit more detail on that side of things. With regards to misbehaving kids, don't make so many false threats. Really, if you're saying for instance, there were the two girls in the front, and you're telling them to stop talking, otherwise move apart, they speak again, separate them. Otherwise, what happened was after a while, and I'm sure maybe you'll see in the video when you watch it yourself, the moment you turn your back, they carry on doing exactly what they were doing before. So because they know there's no actual repercussion to what they're doing. So when you make a threat per se, follow through with it. Make sure that you actually implement it. Make sure that when you're paying attention in the classroom, it's not just to those students that are demanding your attention. Like when you start doing the communication with individual students, really try and spend focus a little bit on each one of the students. Give each student a bit of attention. Because you don't want students at the back just falling asleep, falling by on that. So you want to spend a little bit of time. So when we look at relating it to the two InTASC standards, the first part being academic language and technological tools, I think you did really well with that, with the way that you made use of keywords, how they implemented into certain areas. Very good connection. Making use of prior knowledge, it looks like you had already done one class on sound before this. Or was this the first class on sound?
Neptune, I got through.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the kids had a basic understanding, or you were linking it back to their Chinese because they seemed to have some form of understanding, and you were just building on top of that. That's a really good thing, working on what they've already known, looking at it in a new aspect. What's really cool with this is you can start linking it then to real world examples, okay, like you did, but then like they state, real world problems. Where do we make use of sound in a way that solves a problem? Think of submarines, using echolocation, using x-rays to see through skin. So you can really start linking things, and then students can make those connections. Once they make those connections, those ideas and concepts really, really stick in their mind. So it's something really nice to make use of these real world problems. Instructional resources, this was really, really good in this class. You're making use of videos, you're making use of sound clips, you're making use of actual demonstrations, although the demonstration didn't work out very well for some reason, but still, it's multiple ways of giving information across so that at least one of those ways will sink into the child and they'll be able to remember it. So it was really, that's why I said to you before, I found that this class actually went really well because you had such a nice wide spread of varieties of doing things to get the concept going past and going through. When looking at cultural backgrounds, in our specific subject, I find that it's really hard to get this to link into, like, it's very, very topic specific that you'll get something that actually starts linking into a cultural background. So with this one, I'll be a little bit less specific, I guess, because I link it back more to the real world problems. But yeah, generally speaking, I found it was a really good class. You did a lot of things right. There's still things that we can keep working on.
I think this is still one of them. Ending class. I think it's been mentioned in the two other videos we've done, and not just the classes that I record, but every other class. Just, okay, I'm looking at the clock. We got 2 minutes left of class. I don't want to like just say, okay, yeah, that's it. And like, it's still trying to figure out like that last 2 minutes or even 1 minute. Like, how can I?
This is where I say, try and make a class fit in your personality. Everything, I'm sure the way that I finish a class is very different to the way other teachers do it. We all have our own personalities and our own ways of building our classes. Find something that fits with you. And it's something that might take you another 3-4 months to figure out. And that's fine. That's all part of the learning curve, is figuring out what works for you. Try different things. But also a case of just be like, oh, the bell rang, okay, bye. And kids just start walking out when the bell rings. There's no like actual respect shown towards you. When you say class is over, it's over. But get something formalized, something that ends off your class very nice.
Well, Mike, the daily dose of internet.
Exactly.
That's honestly good. 2 minutes left, just like let them like chill out for 2 seconds.
Just something that shows them, okay, it's time to cool down. We've got this whole class idea put together. How are we going to transition now to the next class? And it's your job now to get them out of the routine of the class so that they can start preparing for the next class. Other than that, how do you think you found the class went?
I think it also went pretty good. I delivered this same lesson plan to 3 classes today, and that one I feel like definitely was the best. Right after this period, I gave it to the Jupiter class, and I could just tell it's a higher level class. English ability is better. They're probably get through more material in a semester just because they can kind of move a bit faster. And I could tell that a lot of them are just like, oh man, we've seen this already in Chinese class. A lot of them, even a student approached me after class saying like, oh, you know, let's go faster. We've already learned this. And it's like, still.
But this is where once you start linking your real world problems and looking at it from that perspective, even though it's the same content, you can make it more of a critical thinking side of things. How do we actually apply this knowledge? And that's where a lot of our students really struggle.
Yeah, they're missing that part.
Yeah. So that side, although you're covering same content, you can have a whole new look on it and actually make it look really fresh.
Yeah, I think that's definitely next class, maybe trying to do, like the thing with the ruler, I'd love to like have them do a lab like that where they can like try and measure the frequency and amplitude of a ruler like vibrating. So I'll try and, I think that would be cool. So,
but yeah, I think that generally looking at the way that you taught, okay, yes, it was 3 times in a row, but you're just looking a lot more comfortable in the classroom, which is really good.
Yeah. And that, good, sweet. Till next time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.